So, like the last card pull, or like card reading I did that I shared, I talked about like not villainizing like the bad guy and kind of like your story or situation. And I wanted to touch a little bit on that. So, like, an example would be kind of, not kind of, but an example would be like relationships and stuff, like romantic relationships. Like, a lot of times, you know, when we're in toxic relationships, women often will have a tendency to be like, that was an abusive relationship, when really what they mean is it was a toxic relationship. And the reason I say that is because now not always, but a lot of times there's not one abuser. Like, a lot of times there's two. That doesn't mean one person didn't suffer more. But nothing's ever really one-sided. That doesn't mean people deserve the things they go through. It just means that like the illusion of being innocent is like just that. It's an illusion. And so, like, for example, and like, if you see yourself as a victim, you don't, like, things happen to you. Like, they don't happen because of you. So it gets, like, a victim mindset will continue to perpetuate a victim mindset. But, like, for me, for example, like, I mean, I am how I am due to, you know, a plethora of reasons, some of which were out of my control, some of which, like, I contributed to. But nonetheless, when it came to, like, you know, romantic relationships that became extremely toxic, like, a lot of the times, like, I was the bad guy. Like, I was, you know, the one who had, like, a really fucked up mindset and, like, really fucked up reactions due to, you know, unresolved trauma. Now, did I subconsciously kind of, like, push people to their limit where then things were, you know, no longer me being just the only bad guy? Like, yeah, I push people to their limit quite a bit. But, like, the point that I'm making, though, is that, like, I have a degree in communication, and there was one class, advanced interpersonal communication, where we touched a lot on relationships and stuff, and like what was, you know, abusive behavior or toxic behavior. And when we were going over that, I was like, oh fuck, like, I had always seen myself as a victim, but like reading out of a textbook kind of, you know, classifications of stuff, it was like, shit, I've done a lot of these things. It didn't mean that like I was a bad person, but it meant that it's more complex. It's more complicated, and people are complicated. So, like, yeah, you really can't write somebody off as good or bad. Doesn't matter how good or bad their actions are. Actions are just, you know, that. I guess kind of like the point I'm trying to make is that, like, when you blame others for a situation, whether it's justified or not, you rape yourself of the opportunity to, like, learn and grow from that situation. Now, you can have a victim mindset and be like, oh, well, I learned a lot, like, I won't put up with this, da-da-da. Well, sure, you can learn to establish different boundaries, but, like, you're not gonna, like, grow as a person by having that mentality. I don't know if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to say that, like, you know, the whole point is to, like, work on ourselves, but, like, reflect on why we have those tendencies, kind of thing. Like, yeah, obviously, like, it's good to work on yourself, but, like, if your, you know, innate reaction is to provoke somebody or like something like that, like, why do you feel the need? It's all about, like, uncovering a lot of shit. Whereas if you just notice, like, a bad behavioral pattern, like, if you just notice a bad behavioral pattern and try to fix it without, like, reflecting on it and, like, why you have, you know, that mentality or whatever, like, you're just gonna avoid the toxic behavior you were exhibiting and probably substitute it with, like, another one that might seem, like, less damaging, but essentially, like, still isn't productive. I don't really know if that makes sense. I was, like, reflecting on those thoughts, and, like, I don't know, filming is easier than journaling, and I was just kind of like, well, I don't know, this would have been helpful for me to hear, like, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know. So, putting it on the internet now. So, yeah. Okay. Kind of forgot to circle back to my point. But, like, yeah, so we all know about the golden rule. Like, treat others how you want to be treated. Like, we subconsciously, like, do that, meaning that, like, if we villainize other people, we subconsciously do it to ourselves. So, like, a lot of times when, you know, you have toxic behaviors or whatever, or have done something that's, like, fucked up in the past, like, you'll want to hide it, you'll want to cover it up, you won't want people to know, and then, like, you'll internalize it, and then, like, hate yourself because you did that, and, like, that self-hatred, like, that's not helping anybody, and I don't know, everything that you always try to hide will eventually come to light, and then whenever it does, you'll often feel the need to, like, explain the whole thing because, like, it's not really your fault, and, like, nobody understands me because I did this because of this, da-da-da. It's like, stop villainizing other people. You don't want people to villainize you? Don't villainize other people. Yeah, full circle, you know? Okay, now I think I'm done.